Well, that indeed is a situation that is a cause of concern for many, many Kenyans. Now, Professor Joseph Kiea, an American-trained lawyer and economist, is the man who has been charged with driving the coffee sector reform agenda here in the country. The youth perspective is just one of the ways which hold great promise for what he's doing for not just the entire economy, but for the coffee sector in particular. He joins us now here in studio to bring us his perspective on what exactly the way forward here is. Karibu sana, sir.
Thank you, Peter.
Now, first off, we've seen various initiatives around the coffee sector, reforms, innovation, ways in which various stakeholders have tried to bring this, so to say, back to life, bring it back to profitability, bring it back to relevance as something that farmers right across Kenya want to engage in. And you have been at the helm of this drive. What exactly is the update since the last time we talked? Where are we with these sorts of the reforms are set out by the task force?
Let me start, Peter, by thank you for inviting me. What I would like to do is contextualize this debate and try to kind of give you a succinct what you are facing. Currently, the Kenyan coffee is fetching premium prices in the global market. But paradoxically, the production is going down. We used to do 130 metric tons in the 1980s. Currently, we are doing an average of 40,000 metric tons. It is on this basis that the president appointed myself as chairman of the task force to conduct a value chain, legalized value chain analysis, and try to understand what are the basic, the problem ailing the coffee sector, and also understanding that coffee used to be a main foreign currency earner. So that underscores the importance of where the national government get involved. What we did, we went there, conducted, did the report, handed over the report to him, and then he appointed me to be the chairman of the implementation committee, which I'm actually doing, currently.
Yes.
What we found is, as you rightly stated earlier on, is that you have coffee farmers who are on average about 60 years of age.
Yes.
So consequently, one of the recommendations within our 8 pillars recommendation is that we need to get the youth to be part of this sustainability. And necessarily not necessarily to be farmers, but the coffee value chain is very long.
Yes.
You can be part of the cooperative, part of the millers, part of the the marketers, and also traders in
value addition as well.
So and also the value addition. So what we recommended is for the government to provide some kind of an incentive. We recommended that some of the money that can the government from the levies they get from the coffee shop, that money can be used to set business school in the Utalii College, where these youth can be can be trained. Equally, there was some other proposal initiative that have been going on, whether the youth were also involved in seedlings, because one of the recommendation that we made was that the government need to provide a 3-year subsidy program, basically to support the farmer, and by providing the planting materials. So in a nutshell, there is a clear framework that we are trying to create of actually getting the youth to be part of the rehabilitation of the coffee subsector.
That is very interesting, especially when you think about the fact that for a lot of people who are in the, who so to say are driving this economy, the people who are in their 20s to maybe 50s, a lot of them grew up with their parents as coffee farmers, daunting experiences, not things that they would like to go back to. So literally, we are having to start to sell this entire conversation to them again. Where do you even start?
Well, I think the first place we need to start, Peter, is to find a way of increased productivity.
Yes.
Like I mentioned earlier on, we are now doing an average of about 40,000 metric tons a year. And by the way, our coffee is still a premium. I like to put it more in a more catchy word.
Yes.
That we are producing Mercedes, but your marketing is a Volkswagen or a Toyota.
The question that then arises is because it would seem from a simplistic point of view that then the ways to increase productivity are to either increase efficiency and output at farm level so that the acreage you have then produces more, or literally change the way you work so that then you either mechanize or that sort of thing, or increase acreage? Are we looking at either of these or looking at both?
I think we're looking both. Mostly, about 70% of our coffee comes from the central province, what you call, what used to be called, central province. Obviously, land in this region is becoming very scarce. We are competing with other, business interests like, real estate. So what we need, or the strategy we are taking within this sector, with this region, is to increase productivity per tree.
Yes.
Right now, we are doing about 2 kilos per tree, and we can hit 40 kilos per tree with good husbandry. There are new areas, emerging areas where coffee can be grown, particularly the Rift Valley, Narok, Trans Nzoia, Baringo. All these are new coming areas where maybe we can still have, they have enough land that we can still expand production. But essentially, going back to what you were asking, what we recommend the government to do is to provide a subsidy program for 3 years. And this subsidy program comes in several levels.
Yes.
First of all, is to provide subsidy fertilizer to the farmer, because the cost of input has been very, very high.
Yes.
The coffee farmer were not beneficiary of what you call the subsidy fertilizer, but we have recommended the government need to put them there. We need also to provide the planting materials, that the seedlings that again have been quite costly. We also need to do rehabilitation of the factories, which have been based on archaic technology that is not efficient.
Yes.
And I think the other thing is extension services. As you know, that agriculture has been evolved. So the extension services has to be the role of the county government to provide that. And the assumption is that if we can do this for 3 years, we'll be able to increase productivity, maybe from what the current product about maybe 100,000, and that will be able to really reduce the input cost and hopefully maybe get the farmer to an average, threshold that he can be able to, break even. Yes.
Those are some of the challenges that bedevil the farmers at their level, but there are also challenges across the rest of the value chain. Management of factories, the cooperative system, which eventually stopped helping the cash trickle down to the farmer at the grassroots level. What are the recommendations that you have made to start to revamp this, including, of course, even diversifying the routes to market, because it used to be a monopoly. We now see that there is space for even private individuals and organizations to start to come in.
Okay, I think that's a very good question, Peter. But what I would like to really start with is saying that coffee is a private good, not a public good. So the property right of coffee lays to the farmer.
Yes.
So in other words, the farmer is the principal. Any other person along the value chain is an agent, including the government.
Yes.
But what has been happening in our case is that you have cases where maybe the agents have more influence than the principal. So the agent, including the cooperatives, the marketers, and the millers, has not been acting on the interests of the farm. So we are creating, the new regulatory framework that will be able to enhance the protection of the farmer property rights, but also increasing transparency to reduce this information asymmetry, because that has been the key source of these other agents, in some cases colluding against the interests of the farmer. So again, within our legal framework, we are hoping that we can open up. There are 2 ways that we market our coffee: through the Nairobi Coffee Exchange, the auction, and also the direct sales.
Yes.
The direct sales is about 5%. We had recommended to increase that to about maybe 30%, because we found that direct sales are more beneficial to the farmer by going around, some of the brokers within the sector.
Finally, the fact that with a lot of youth looking for opportunities to plug into this economy, and that now sectors such as yours then become an opportunity for them to start not just earn a livelihood, but even to penetrate the global levels in terms of branding, product delivery, that sort of thing. Where would you urge the youth to start?
Okay, I think we've rightly stated, coffee still is the credible vehicle to address rural development. And again, when we talk about rural development, we're both talking about women and the youth. So in a sense, it really makes a lot of sense for the government to really, it is to the interest of the government to ensure that the the youth get involved. Because if we will sustain this, it's one thing getting the production up,
yes,
but it's another thing to sustain it. And for sustainability, the youth as well as the women need to be part of it. And again, there is a pillar within our recommendations, which is long. I didn't have a chance to go through the 8 pillars of recommendation, but one of the key recommendations is to get youth involved.
Okay, indeed, sir. Thank you very much for your time, Professor Joseph K. Unfortunately, we are out of time, but we'll definitely get you back into studio to talk to us about the implementation, especially